tax authorities from the time you start off your company, because there's every likely if you're not making up to 25 million, you will not have any tax from a profit tax point of view to pay. But between 25 million and 100 million, those are considered to be medium-sized companies, and they are required to pay 20% of their profit as taxes. Why for large? Pardon? Between 25 million and 100 million. Yeah, so and above 100 million, those are considered to be large corporations, and they are required to then pay the maximum company income tax of 30%. Value-added tax, that's a transaction tax. The rate is 7.5%. So this is something that you incur by reason of consuming certain items, and there's a requirement for you to file your tax return on a monthly basis. What this means is whatever taxes have incurred during the course of the current month, by on or before the 21st of the following month, I need to file that with the tax authority. Then I need to pay that tax over to the tax authority, right? Maybe if then you have withholding tax. Withholding tax is an advance payment of your profit taxes. This is basically saying you pay a part of your tax in advance. Your profit taxes, which are referred to as company income tax, is paid on what is called a preceding year basis. What that means is the business and the profit I've made this year, I'm going to subject it to tax in 2023. Okay? But for withholding tax, we would expect you to pay withholding tax in the current year, and that payment is considered as an advance of the taxes you're going to pay next year. How this works is, let's say your tax next year is 100,000 naira, but you have suffered withholding tax of about 20,000. So that 20,000 will be captured as tax that you have paid in advance. Then you're now required to pay 80,000 to fully extinguish your tax liability for that year. So withholding tax also, whatever you've suffered during the month, by the following year, you're supposed to file your tax return with the tax authority and remit the amount on or before the 21st of the year. Then we have a capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is of interest when you've made profits that is capital in nature. What do I mean by that? If you have revenue items are things that you buy and sell and you make money from it. You have a product, you're providing financial services, people are using your financial service, and on the basis of that you are receiving money. So that's revenue. But if you have a car and the car is sold, the car is a capital item because it's not something that, except you are into the buying and selling of car. Okay? So if by reason of that transaction you have made a profit, then there's a 10% you're supposed to pay on the profit you have made on that car. And there's a requirement for you to file that twice in a year. So any transaction that happens between the beginning of the year and the middle of the year, you are meant to file it by June of that year. Anything that happens in the second half of the year, you're meant to file and remit that by December, which is the end of the year. Stamp duties. Stamp duty is something that should be of interest to us. It's with respect to the documents, that has to do with the business that we run. For example, when you register a company, you receive a certificate from the Corporate Affairs Commission. There's stamp duty that is associated with that. If you enter into contracts, maybe you're renting an apartment, stamp duties will be involved. You're entering into all sorts, as startups, you have all sorts of agreements that you put in place, and you need to ensure that you take care of stamp duty. There are two main purposes of stamp duties. One is such that if there's a disagreement in future and you need to go to court, the lawyer will be able to tell us more about that. So for that document to be admissible in court, it has to have been stamp dutied appropriately. Then the second part of it is the taxman will come and check your books and find out, have you complied with the Stamp Duties Act? If you haven't, then that could be a potential problem. So apart from the fact that it's beneficial to you, then there's also a legal requirement for you to comply with it. And there are different rates. Some transactions are fixed rates. Some are what's called ad valorem rate, like a percentage, and usually they're very small. It could be 0.02% of the value of the contract, that's being that you needed to stamp duty. Then you have personal income tax. So many of us, because you set up a business, you probably put yourself on a salary because you are now different from the company, right? Or maybe you employ one or two people. So by reason of that, the income that they earn from the operations of the company should be subject to tax. And there are different strata of that, depending on the level of income that is earned. And there's a requirement to make sure this is appropriately accounted for and remitted to the tax authority. The other taxes we talked about is mainly collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, but this particular one, because it has to do with individuals, is collected by the State Revenue Service. But in the case of FCT, there's an FCT, Internal Revenue Service, so that's the agency of government that has responsibility for collecting this. We have a special tax called education tax. So this tax that is specifically set aside to support educational institutions in Nigeria. The rate is 2.5%. It used to be 2%, but last year, by instrument of the Finance Act, it was increased from 2.2% to 2.5% of your assessable profit. And upon receipt of assessment is a document that the tax authority will send to you and tell you that this is the amount that you are owing that you're supposed to pay with respect to tax. And you have 60 days from the date from which you receive that assessment to comply with that requirement. So this hydrocarbon tax, this may not be of so much interest to us, particularly those that are not in the petroleum industry, but you could be a startup and you're interested in the petroleum industry. So you make profit from petroleum operations, you are required to pay what is called hydrocarbon tax. And that rate ranges from 15 to 30%. So if you're a new license holder, you are required to pay 15% of your profit. If you're an existing asset owner, you're meant to pay about 30% of your profit. Then you have NITDA. I think this is something that should be of interest to you also because many of us are probably tech holders. So there's a requirement to pay 1% of our profits before tax as a NITDA levy. So this is something that's supposed to drive technology investment and adoption in Nigeria. So then we have the Police Trust Fund. Of course, many of us, we are aware of the security challenges we have. So this is a special levy that was introduced, and the amount is 0.05% of net profit of companies. So it's a very small percentage. The idea is that if everybody contributes something, not so much, then into a bucket, that can then help to gradually improve our security architecture. For many of us in the tech space, it's possible that you may have ideas that require you bringing in things into Nigeria. So whatever you are bringing into Nigeria, most at times, if they are not exempted from import duty, then you need to be worried or concerned or interested in import duty and make sure you factor that into your commercial arrangement. And the rates, depending on what the fiscal position with respect to those items are, could range from 0% if it's exempt to as high as 35%. Then we have excise duty, so that's something that is also now gaining a lot of traction. I'm sure a lot of us probably have seen the conversation around applying excise duties on some telecommunication items. So that would potentially increase cost, but it's seen as a way for government to generate revenue. Then we have the local content, which is basically more around the petroleum industry. If you are operating in that sector, you are required to pay 1% of the contract value to the local content development board. Yeah, so incentives, there are a number of incentives that are available within the tax space. I think I have like 2-3 minutes or thereabouts, okay? One is the fact that you can enjoy as much as 3 to 5 years of tax-free period. that you will not have any requirement to pay taxes. If you are involved in gas utilization, you can have as much as 5 years. If you make investment in pipeline, you can have as much as 10 years holiday. That's similar to the number of years that NLNG had. How many of us have heard about NLNG? So had about 10 years tax holiday. That means it was operating for 10 years, and whatever profit you made, government says, goodbye, go and enjoy your money. Then after 10 years, then you take me into consideration. Then for certain items, you have reduced withholding tax. You have some level of income that is also exempted. For example, if you are into the tourism space, then you can have as much as 25% of your income exempted from tax. Then you have certain items that are also exempted from import duty. So what are the things you need to put in place to optimize your tax position? One is that you should take your tax filing seriously. If you notice in the table, when I was showing the table, for each of the sections, it talks about penalties and all that. So either for not filing your tax return, either filing late, or not paying the taxes in good time. So that would attract additional penalty, and that will be eroding value from you. And in addition to that, that may have reputational impact on your organization, on your company. If somebody is going to do due diligence about your company, one of the things they will look out for is your tax compliance status. So historically, if you keep missing deadline, you just give the impression that, for example, your company income tax, you have 6 months to be ready and file the returns. So, and if you keep missing that every year, just give the impression that, hey, this is not a serious businessman. So it's not just enough for you to think about how you make money. You also need to take all this also into consideration. You need to ensure you have proper description of your transactions, such that if the tax authority comes to conduct an audit, they can easily understand what you are doing, and you can explain it convincingly. That is not something you're just playing games. Ensure you include VAT on all transactions that are vatable, and also withholding tax, because you will be penalized if you don't. Because VAT and withholding tax should have been cost to your customer. But if you don't apply, it then becomes your cost. So it's appropriate for you to make sure you do the right thing. Then it's important for you to keep proper records. By not keeping proper records, you basically lost the game. When the tax authority comes and during audit, it's going to be evidence-based, just like the lawyers will tell you. So if you can't find the evidence, it's as good as saying, sorry, this transaction did not happen. Or they'll tell you the transaction is fictitious. So it's important that you invest in keeping and managing your records properly. It may be appropriate for you to get a tax advisor like us to help you, address some of these issues. So your core function is to manage your business very well and make profits. So some of these are like support functions. So you can talk to people like PwC to help you manage this. So maybe I'll pause there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo Akinduyite. I hope I got it right this time. All right, so we're going to go over questions and answers now. I don't know if anyone has questions here. You can just identify. I'll pass the mic to you and
That's okay.
ask the question.
Okay. Thanks.
Well done, sir. That was brilliant.
Okay.
Thanks.
You can take your
I'll collect this
contribution.
your slide. If I did use and the advance myself.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Here on the existing protocols,
Yes,
all
please.
presenters. It's been wonderful and insightful and informative.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to add to what presenters have said concerning the issue of funding. When we were talking about fundraising, and thank God the third presenter also talked about funding. No matter how good the idea is, you need funds. And he also said that in most cases when we talk about investment, people look at funding or money and money alone. But we know that investment is an embodiment of idea, money, and people. And most of the times, you don't find them at once. You may have money, you may not have the idea, you may not have the people. But it is very imperative that when we are looking at the issue of our ideas and how we intend to fund it, we should look at the issue of raising funds through all the means. But I want to talk about the issue of going to the capital market, because that is where you make it big, and you also have some time, some space. I'm talking as a stockbroker, and I feel we should know about this. There are a lot of work that must be done at the preliminary level before you try to approach the capital market. But even at the capital market, at least there's a level that you can key in, because the companies there, just like we have our league, we have the super boys who are at the premium, we have the growth, and we have the small. So you try so that if you want to raise money through the capital market, if that your investment idea or what you are doing is in conformity with the guidelines of the exchange and stuff like that. But I'm thinking by 2023 they are opening their doors towards this blockchain and the rest. So we should also take advantage of that by next year. But my take is that in whatever thing we are doing in terms of maybe our businesses, please and please, we must look at the build-up. The build-up means no matter how good your idea is, you may need people to back you up. You may also need these people may be people that can help connect you with other maybe stakeholders that may contribute to your business, and that is the more reason why I am here standing in for the university, because the way the university has been taken care of in the time past is as if it's an isolation of the environment. But the whole essence is that you whatever the gown is using, you mingle it with the town so that the benefit will actually be fed. The university has been operating as if it is an isolation of what the town is all about, and this is the town. Some of you guys here, though the idea may look small or you may be starting small, but given 5-10 years to come, you may be up there. And it is very, very important that we begin to look at opportunities to which we can key in. And as such, I look forward to having some of you try to contact our university, or if you have any idea that you think, because you may have the idea, somebody else is having the money, somebody else is having the connection, and you cannot do business without connection, without money, without ideas, without people. So you need to look at this. The doors of Anna University. When we're talking about Anna University, is actually an arm of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, and these are big people who have big money. They will be willing to connect you and to help you, and also even bring you in, because I find it very, very impressive to see that most of you here who are into this blockchain, into high-tech ideas, did not even study them in the university. Some guys here are lawyers. Some are even study other courses, not even accounting. But you see, we're talking about business, we're talking about, and that is where we need to go. So please and please, my contact will be here in the office here, and thank God we have been working with Deji. Deji is one of a resource that we so much value in our university, that we don't take his issues just jokingly. And as we talk today, it is only Anna University that has developed a curriculum that deals with blockchain in Nigeria. And we are, because new, we are scouting for people with ideas. Please, we want to know this thing. We want to also inculcate it into the younger ones. So whatever idea you have, no matter how small it is, come. You may be surprised to see that it will pay you off, because the university is also willing to pay for whatever idea you can bring on our system that other people can key and use. We'll pay you, and they pay heavily. So I want to thank the organizers, and I also want to thank you people, the younger ones, because you are our future, and you know what we are in this country. This is the only way we can scale through. We work together, we bring in new ideas, and in the issue of high-tech. So I want to thank you people, and also thank the presenters. And also for the presenters, please, I may collect your contact, and the university may need you for one or two things, and if we contact you, please come and also contribute. We have, the university is coming up with a business school in Abuja here. That is Anna Business School. The site is at Guarimpa, that is 14 Road, First Avenue, 14 Road. Everything is ready. If you go there and see the facilities, you will marvel. So we are hoping that very soon we'll come up with some of this program, and we may be calling you. You may be shocked to see that as a participant here, or as somebody who actually have an idea. We may call you and tell you how can we develop it, help us, and let us build it in something. So please, I thank you people for coming. I may not be staying again. I'll be leaving now because I have another meeting by 4:30. But I appreciate all of you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. So I don't know, how can we keep in touch? How can startups here keep in touch with the Annan University? But he's not around. I don't know if there's something we can announce, maybe a website or...
Let me give you people my number first. 080.
Is everyone ready?
Yes, 080 68 40 3973. Professor Sunday Mlanga. Professor Sunday Mlanga. Mlanga is Mlanga. M for man, L for large, A for apple, N for nanny, G for go, A for apple. Thank you very much. So please, we can start from there. But what we need to do is that, please, we may need the slides. Hence, you have our emails. Please, I plead that you send the slides to us, because from the slides, we'll be able to know more about our presenters and even contact them and even contact you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. So the presenters, would you be willing to give your slides to Annan?
No, not to Annan.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, I see. Yes, please.
He has already requested, and I promise we would. I don't think it's an issue.
Oh, okay, great.
This is for personal use, and it won't go beyond that.
Of course.
If it goes
Personal.
beyond that will be a breach.
If there's anything, we'll have to contact you. We know what it is.
Of course. Thank you very much, sir. We're happy to have you around, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So the slide will be sent officially via mail to all participants that are registered. We all have your email address, so you get it. Any more questions? Yes, Mr. Yoyo.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir. So I wanted to ask specifically about Delaware registered entities, because a lot of the Nigerian startups tend to register in Delaware in the US. So I wanted to ask what the tax implications are for startups registering in Delaware, if you have any insights on that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Yoyo.
Well, broadly, the tax principle is quite similar, but I don't have the specific provisions. So maybe that's something I can check. PwC is a global firm, so we have very vibrant US practice, so I can check the specifics and then share that with you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Okay. Okay, your question, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, my question is for a well-structured idea. Does it need to be patented before accessing funds for scaling up? Secondly, what are the necessary things needed for such an idea to get fund from an angel investor? Because the manpower may be there, the expertise may be there, but the only thing required for the company, for the idea to become something major is just a push, financial push. So are there other legal things, background things need to be done before accessing fund? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Olaleye. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So that's a very good question. We talked a bit about our IP. First of all, let me clarify: it's in your own best interest to actually patent it.